Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial happened, I think, 2 years now, if I am correct. If you follow this trial, let me know because it was all over the media. People were waiting to catch the newest reaction of Amber Heard in the court. People were just waiting to catch how she's going to react to what the court is saying and the things that she's actually going to say. The meme were flying left, right, and center. And according to what we know about the trial, then so many people believe that Johnny Depp is the victim. This lady has a message for people who were not on the side of Amber Heard. Like she has a very strong message for them, and she spoke about the things that she will continue to wish on people who were never in support of Amber Heard during the trial and who painted her so bad, especially people who never saw the situation from his side at all, people who never gave her a chance to even listen to her and just straight up painted her partner as the victim. I have put together a video and the video of another woman who came in to share what she felt about it as well. So without wasting much time, let's get right into it.
I don't care how long it takes. I will continue to prey on the downfall of everybody that ever made fun of Amber Heard, everybody that participated in the harassment, the victim blaming, the laughing about her rape testimony, all of that shit. I am continuing to prey on your downfall. I need a front row seat every time it happens because it will happen. Like, was I supposed to feel bad when Raven Simone's wife was like getting death threats and had all this stuff coming into her inbox? No, because now you know a little percentage of how Amber felt during that time. Yeah. And I don't care if it was 2 years ago. I check in with every person that I can remember was making fun of her, and I try to see where their life is at. And if it's terrible, I'm laughing. If it's good, I'm like, when is it going to be bad? Because you don't deserve anything good if you were making fun of her. Every person, huge celebrity, small celebrity, big influencer, small influencer, content creators, everybody, your regular everyday person with zero followers, if you were making fun of her, I am praying on your, I am praying for it. I'm doing rituals. I am doing those manifestation sounds. Every time I see one on my For You page, I am praying for you to. I don't care. I don't care if it's 10 years from now. I am praying for it. So if you suddenly feel that your life is going to, that's me. That's me. Because y'all are disgusting. I need a front row fucking seat every time it happens because it will happen.
And it's double that for women. Double that for women. Because how dare you? I had never been so embarrassed to be a woman as I was during that time. That shit was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And I hope everybody learned a lesson. I hope every woman in the boot gagging competition learned a lesson. Deep throating the boot of the patriarchy while it's on your neck is never, ever going to help you escape it. Or ever going to help you escape it. It's only going to make it worse for you and for other women. Oh my God, I have so much to say about this, and I'm so glad that the topic is coming back around because I wasn't even on TikTok when all of this started. I was literally going crazy with every fiber of my being, just watching women not only jump to defend this man without looking into the outcomes of the previous 2 times that he tried this court case, both of which he lost on ample evidence, without looking into his past, his violent past, without looking into any testimony from his ex-wives, without looking into any of the testimony from the actual courts, like the text messages that he was sending back and forth with people planning to drown her and shit. No. And not only that, but y'all also jumped at the chance to hate on a woman just because everybody else was doing it. And it wasn't, and then we come later to find out it wasn't even like everybody else. It was literally a coordinated social media campaign with like trending hashtags, with these trending nicknames. All this information was being spread by accounts nobody had ever seen before, and people were just eating that shit up. No questions asked. And women, I need y'all to know that that is embarrassing. You know, when somebody asked me about like, what side am I on, whatever, I said I would never automatically take a man's side in anything as a woman. That is actually crazy. Men will not only not believe women, like ever, they'll request all this evidence, they'll reserve their opinions until a judgment is made, they're not going to say anything, and then when the judgment is made in favor of the woman, they just ignore it. And that's why we have so many abusers still free and still walking around. And all the accusers, which typically tend to be women, get blacklisted. Never to be seen again, never to be heard from again. And y'all think that's normal? Y'all think it's normal that Shia LaBeouf is back on the red carpet, that James Franco's back on the red carpet? You know who we're going to see next? We're going to see Harvey Weinstein next. The fact that Johnny Depp lost this case 3 times, including in the American court, and still all these promotional opportunities after, and like it took a really long time for him to sort of peter out of the public eye, where now I guarantee you he is lying low in wait. and he's waiting to resurface like a fucking alligator so that he can go on abusing women with no consequences. He is a terrible person. He always has been. He talks about it openly in interviews. He talks about, you know, taking his anger out on people. He talks about how he has uncontrolled anger issues. And people ran to defend this man with a public history of violence and abuse and like 17 ex-wives over a woman that is significantly younger, less experienced, and holds a lot less power dynamic in the relationship. This is why there is no girl code, okay? This is why there's bro code and there's no girl code, because y'all women are up. You're fucking up. You would rather step into the boot on another woman's neck just so you can feel how it feels to be like part of the patriarchy for 1 second and do like a minuscule, minimal amount of fucking research for once in your life. Every time allegations come out of man, all the men are like, oh, he's innocent until proven guilty. You know, he's a good man. He was in my favorite show. He was in my favorite movie. But this man is a childhood hero and an icon. Well, I'm gonna wait for the evidence to come up, wait for the court to make their judgment. That's bro code. Like, they have that shit on lockdown. You will never see men jumping at the opportunity to believe a woman and to accuse a man. Never, never. So it was so embarrassing to me that women did that. That really internalized misogyny on display was actually staggering. Like, actually, like, stopped me dead in my tracks, and I realized we were nowhere near the finish line with all of this shit. I really expected so much better from women. Because the men, like, I always expect the worst every time, and I'm never surprised, I'm never disappointed. They always will stand behind another man. They're always going to defend the actions of another man. Oh, you don't know, and like his past, and like his childhood, and like what did she say, and like when are we gonna start holding women accountable, and like what was she doing there, and didn't she just want something from him, like. And nobody was asking those questions about Johnny Depp. Like, when he came out and he accused Amber Heard of, mind you, he didn't accuse her of any abuse. He didn't even have, like, proper grounds to really accuse her of anything. She mentioned that she was a victim of abuse. She mentioned that she was a victim of domestic violence. She never named names. So the fact that he went after her like that should have been y'all's first fucking clue. The fact that he went after her should have been your first, but she didn't really say Johnny Depp. She just said she had been a victim of this. So like, why is he running to the courts? Like, nobody asked that. Nobody put that together. Nobody like went through his entire life and like pulled a bunch of receipts, even though they were all open and out there and publicly available. Like his interviews where he talks about, you know, punching people and like taking his anger out on people. Nobody pulled up those receipts. Like they do of, you know, women's indiscretions and women's like OnlyFans sites and things like that. Nobody bothered to look up the results of these cases in France and England and the fact that he lost in both. Nobody bothered to look up what was being presented as evidence on both sides. Like, people were only interested in the Amber Heard side. And they pulled up her entire past, they pulled up all the receipts on Amber, and if it was in the name of justice, then they would have done the same thing on the other side. And the worst part of it is how, like, willingly stupid people were being. Like, when people were like, oh, this is such a landmark case because now men can also talk about their abuse and men can also file court cases for abuse. They've always been able to do that. Did you guys know that? Men have always been able to file DV cases in court. That has never been, that would not be very land of the free of us, so that men can't plead a DV case. That absolutely happens. Absolutely always been allowed to happen. Like, that was never at stake. The fact that people were saying, oh no, men can talk about their abuse in court, they've always been able to. They've always been able to. You just don't hear about it because men are not typically domestic abuse victims. Women are. Women are on a large scale, like a very large scale that the World Health Organization considers a global problem, a global issue. And y'all believe the man. And what's worse is that, meanwhile, people were touting it as, oh, this is so great because now men can talk about their experience with domestic violence in court. No, that case didn't actually do that. That men have always been able to do that. What that case did was actually make it easier for your abuser to sue you for telling your story, because he was able to go out of his way and prove that when she said that she experienced domestic violence, she didn't specify at the hands of whom, like she just brought it up as a matter of fact, like as something that happened to her. What him winning that case did was make it so that your abuser can sue you for saying that for talking about your domestic violence experience, even without ever mentioning their name. So that can be considered libel now. Like you saying that you've had a domestic violence in your past, now any man that's ever been with you can reach out and sue you for that. Can be like, she was talking about me. Don't do it. Don't join the men on a witch hunt. It's always a stupid endeavor. It's never going to be rewarded. Because where are y'all at now? Where are all the women that was sucking this case's dick? Where are they? To those women, where are all those men that were liking your videos, that were supporting you? Where are they? Exactly. Congratulations, you helped set a precedent that will actually silence both male and female victims in the fucking masses. God. Just for future reference, for anybody who was taking the both sides were wrong approach and the reactive abuse approach, and she wasn't a perfect enough victim for me approach, there's no such thing as reactive abuse. There's only a reaction to abuse. At some point, when you're getting the shit kicked out of you every day, when you are being called names, when you are being gaslit, when your reality is no longer reality, when up is no longer up and down is no longer down, what you do out of that scenario is not called reactive or mutual abuse. It is a reaction to the abuse that you've experienced. It's an adverse reaction to your environment, which has fundamentally been made unsafe by somebody else on purpose. That's what abuse is. And then what the victim does out of that is simply a natural reaction, but it is not reactive abuse. It is just a reaction. And all the questions of, well, why did she stay? And like, why did she still use him for this and this? This is why the age gap matters, because she was young and stupid. That's why she stayed. She was young and naive. This is why we say that it's not okay to have an age gap like that between two parties. One person is going to be a lot less experienced and they're going to stay even when they're being treated like shit, because a lot of women are not presented with normal relationship dynamics in media or by their mothers or by their grandmothers. They're often told to be soft, to be submissive, that men like that. Imagine you're 20 something years old in Hollywood and you're having your first serious public relationship with like a major Hollywood heartthrob everyone has like really high opinions of. For some reason, again, all of his like abuse and all of his anger tendencies have been made known in public at this point. I just want to draw your attention to that fact. Like, we really just let these things, like, it's like water under the bridge for men. Water under the bridge. Men abuse their standing and their power dynamics to punch people in the face, to abuse people in the middle of the street, take their anger out on other people. That's fine. That's totally fine. So imagine you're in a relationship with that guy. Also realize that he ran a very secret, like, underground VIP room for Hollywood elites for years. For years. Look up the Viper room, the Viper Lounge or whatever. That he ran that. So he has dirt on absolutely everybody. Who are you going to tell? Who are you going to tell about this? I'm betting this is why she never named him by name in the first place. And all of this kind of behavior on his part being excused for years and years and years, this is why she didn't speak out properly. So when y'all are like, well, why did she stay with him? Why didn't she say anything? This is why we don't advocate for age gaps or power gaps in relationships, because there's always, that person can always leverage their connections, right? Like, she shouldn't have to pay for being abused by also getting blacklisted because this man has a lot of friends that really aren't friends. They just don't want him to put out the dirt that he has on them. A woman shouldn't have to suffer for that. That's crazy. People will always ask, well, why did she stay? Nobody asked Johnny Depp why he stayed. Apparently she was abusing him too. Why did he stay? Nobody asked that. Nobody asked that on his side, including the women who are told this kind of shit all the time. What were you wearing? Why did you stay? Why did you go there? Why did you even date him? Like, were you after something? Were you gold digging? What was he after? What was he digging after? Why was he dating somebody so many years his junior? Nobody asked him those questions. Nobody asked him what he was after. Nobody just assumed that he was after somebody young and naive and malleable so that he can abuse and gaslight and brainwash them. Nobody even thought of that as a possibility, because we only think of that as a possibility for women. Only women can be like malicious and evil and get into relationships to get something, and like they're gold diggers and like she had ulterior motives. Ask, what about him? Why is he automatically innocent to y'all? That's crazy. With the track record that men have, it is actually crazy to ever support a man publicly when he's being accused of something. There's absolutely nothing worse and nothing more embarrassing as a woman than turning your back on a fellow woman and joining the men in forming an airtight defense against someone who's violent antics we've known about for years. These are interviews that he gave decades ago. Nobody gave Amber Heard the benefit of the doubt based on those. He gave Johnny Depp the benefit of the doubt based on coming out and masking himself as a victim of abuse in what was actually a libel case. It was never at stake. But people lined the fuck up behind Johnny Depp, a real life, literal wolf in sheep's clothing. And even women who are always subjected to scrutiny, who are always subjected to rumors, assumptions, all of this stuff, even women lined up to put on the patriarchy boot and kick Amber Heard while she was down. And that should be embarrassing, because men would never do that for you. Men would never do that for you as a woman. They would never line up, kick a man while he's down or while he's being accused of unspeakable things against women. Instead, what they do is actually form a hedge of protection around him. And when it came time for women to do the same thing, we failed miserably. All the women failed miserably. There was no solidarity in Amber Heard being a woman. Y'all lined up behind the man with all the other men. And that's where you should have known that you up every time. Every time you're siding with men, please know that you have fucked up. We live in a patriarchy. Not side with men unless you want to participate in and reinforce the fucking patriarchy. It's literally that simple. I don't care how guilty a woman ever is against a man. I'm going to withhold my judgment until the results are in. I don't care what everybody else is saying. I'm going to wait to see what the court says, and even then, I'm still going to take her side, just to even out the playing field. That's justice. You getting on the side of men to kick a woman while she's down is not justice, and it never will be. That's called internalized misogyny. When the accusations against Deshaun Watson came out, I had men that I know that I consider friends being like, well, he's innocent until proven guilty. And I was like, 2 dozen women, that's 20 something women have accused him. Like, what do you mean innocent until proven guilty? It's fucking exhausting. Men can do literally nothing wrong and women can do literally nothing right. You can't be a perfect enough victim. You can't even mention that you've been abused before because some man is going to come after you and say, you said that about me, so now I'm going to sue you. Is that people came out and said, well, it looks like it was reactive or mutual abuse. So now he abused her. But what she did is still worse. She should have been a perfect victim. She should have just sat there and let him fucking wail on her, let him rape her with all sorts of objects. She was supposed to just roll over and take it. So yeah, to Amber Heard, I wish you all the best. I really hope that she is living her best life, raising her child, basking in the warm Italian sunshine. All the best to you, my queen. Thank you for being in my favorite movie ever made. Shout out to Pineapple Express. Love you. Wish all the best for you. To any of y'all unrepentant Johnny Depp supporters, to any unrepentant Amber Heard haters,
What do you guys think about the points that these women brought up on the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case? They mentioned so many things. They talk on the fact that she mentioned domestic abuse, and it's almost like nobody cared that she went through that. They mentioned as well the age difference between these two, and people not understanding the fact that there is a level of manipulation that is going on between these two, and it seems that she's never going to win because of the large age difference. What do you think? If you follow this trial all through the time that it was going viral last 2 years, what do you think? What do you think? Share what you think in the comment section. This person said, as soon as I learned the age difference between the two of them, I was like, wrap it up. I have had all I needed to hear. Another person said the same thing happened with Cassie and PDD. Everyone said she was a gold digger until the video came out, and now everyone is quiet. Another person said, I was young when this happened, which is no excuse, and I believe him for a while. Then I have noticed that he is best friends with Marilyn Manson, and then I understood. Another person said it was so insane to watch how everyone was acting so vile without a second thought. I felt like I was losing my mind. This person said, I remember arguing with an older woman in my family who was also abused by her husband, defending him. It was the wildest thing I have seen. Another person said they convinced everyone she was the most hated woman in the world, and everyone just jumped on the bandwagon. I hope she found happiness. The last one I have here said, I am so happy I found my people. This has been driving me crazy since I watched the Netflix documentary. It was like some worldwide group psychosis. If you follow through the trial, who do you think is the victim? Yeah, because I see a lot of people in the comment section literally agreeing to what these two are talking about, and even saying it's so sad to see that women never really stood up to defend Amber Heard, and they just went with the narrative that Johnny Depp was the victim and she did so many crazy things. If you actually follow through as well, this is what we saw be edit as well, and our reaction literally was all over the place. So I would like to hear what you guys think about this particular one. What was your reaction? What do you think about the trial? Let's continue this conversation in the comment section, and I will catch you guys in the next one.